right, well, let's get this showboat on the river.
On the road,
Uh,
the show on
on
the
the
road, is that what you
the
mean?
showboat on the river.
I mean, if it is a showboat, I guess it would be on the river. So you're right. You're right, Dustin. Okay, the showboat on the
Yeah,
river.
let's get this showboat on the river.
That's a good one. I don't know if I've heard that one.
I know, I think I just made it up. Actually, I'm probably not the first to make that up. Anyway, who cares, right? Um,
I'm
welcome to the
actually part of
show.
a group called We Do Not Care.
Well, see,
We're a group of women, I believe 40 and over.
I actually like that.
Me too.
I like that. We do not care.
There's a lot of
Um,
things we do not care about after a certain age.
that's the truth. That's the truth. So, speaking of getting this showboat on the river slash road, um, welcome to the show. I'm Justin.
Welcome,
This is
everyone.
Pansy, obviously. How you doing, Pansy?
The one and only.
The one and only.
I haven't
Uh,
met another pansy sleep. So, as far as I know,
well, first of all, I've never met another pansy, and I've certainly never met another pansy sleep.
yeah.
That's
So,
just a very, very, what, which, by the way, you know, if you're going to be a connector, you might as well have a really unique name that everybody's going to remember, right?
yes.
And if you
I
don't
think,
have a unique name, think about changing your name. No, I'm just
but
kidding.
pansy is my biological name. I did not just like
Yeah.
change my name to have a
Yeah.
unique name. So,
You
just
know
so
my
I,
real name. You know my real
I
name.
do.
Yeah. So, and I mean, my real name is Wesley, and I don't know why, like, and I honestly don't give people ask me which one do you prefer. I don't really care. Either one's fine. My parents called me Justin my whole life. So go figure. Blame it on them. But I'm thinking about changing it because Wesley's a little bit more, maybe a little bit more memorable. I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know.
I like
Um,
Wesley. I told you that
um,
before. I like
yeah.
Wesley.
Um, I don't feel
I'll
like
help you change.
I don't feel like I look like a Wesley though. I don't
What do you
get,
think a Wesley should look like,
I don't
Justin?
know.
Or
I don't know.
Wesley?
Do you know when you like, when you hear someone's name, you're like, you don't look like a blah, blah, blah.
Well, what does a pansy look like?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I guess the pansy looks like you.
I guess.
Um, but
So,
seriously, folks, welcome to the show, and we're grateful for all of you guys, and all of you like 2 or 3 people that watch us. I appreciate you really, and look, you know what? More people have seen us, but with YouTube, it's so weird. I don't know if you're familiar with this, Pansy, but the YouTube algorithm is extremely. It used to just look at you for like your name and then how many times you were posting, that kind of stuff, which is very simple, right? And as time's gone on, as time has progressed, the YouTube algorithm has gotten really, really robust, let's say, right?
yeah, there's more to it with a lot of these
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
socials,
Yes.
even another one, right?
Yeah.
TT, we'll just call it that one, right?
No.
They've changed a lot of stuff, but the nice thing about that platform is they have a lot of very helpful creators. They will
Yes.
literally tell you exactly where to go while you're talking to them. You just interact with them. Why would they do that? Because when you interact with each other, each of you gets rewarded
Yeah,
for
that's
it.
interesting. That's on TikTok? Is
Yeah,
that
I
on
didn't want
TikTok
to say
specific?
TT.
Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't want to say it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But
okay.
yeah, there's certain things on certain socials that you don't mention, other socials, and
Oh.
whatever. If you learn a little bit, but so the TT thing also you can sign up free for like an agency.
Mm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't cost you anything, and they will literally walk you through
Mm-hmm.
the
Oh,
different.
that's right. You've talked
Yeah,
about that before.
yeah,
I remember you talking about that before.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and maybe some of these other platforms haven't. I don't know. I
Hmm.
haven't looked into it,
Hmm.
but I just thought that was really cool.
That is really cool. We're gonna have to like, do you have a link for that, or is it just like you go to a certain page on TT
well,
for that?
a link for the agency and
Uh-huh.
all of that.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, let me ask the lady I signed up with.
Okay.
I'll ask her how that works. But I could
Okay.
put it on my I should just put it on my blink,
Yeah, you
which
should.
would
That's
be
actually
on,
huge. That would be
which would
really
be on the
useful.
square here. There,
There you
this.
go.
I
Yeah,
will
put
add
it
it
up
to
on your
this.
blink.
Yeah, I might have my socials on there. Uh, the
Yeah.
the TT. I have most of my socials on there, but
I'm
if
gonna
you,
have to I'm gonna have to remember like what I put for each of these guys. But I'll have to go in and look at them. It's been a little while since I've updated, but anyways, for YouTube specifically, like again, it just used to look at, how often you were posting, maybe like your name and how long you'd been with the platform. So now it's looking at a lot, so much more. It's looking at how often you post, it's looking at how long you've been on the platform, it's looking at what your niche is. There's something interesting. It's like people, you post a video and you get like maybe 10 views and you keep doing that and you're like, why? Then the next video is like you get 1 view. You're like, what the hell is going on? Like, why am I not getting any views? I must be like shadow banned. That's the word everybody uses, shadow banned, right? That actually doesn't really exist. And the reason, and this is what I'm learning because I've been looking into this for us specifically, like the shadow ban isn't a thing. Like YouTube isn't shadow banning you. What they're doing is they're protecting. They're a huge company, right? YouTube's a huge company. It's Google, right? And they're trying to protect their name, and so they have certain things that they do to protect their name, and that's why like big content creators can. It seems like they can just post whatever the heck they want, and they get thousands of views. Well, usually those people have been around for quite a long time, and they usually started with so they've built that trust with YouTube, right? They like YouTube knows who they are, what they're posting about, typically or
yeah,
what
that's with a
genre.
lot of socials. You have to build that
Yeah,
trust.
yeah.
It's similar with relationships, which we're getting to, right?
Nice segue. Nice segue.
Yeah, you have to build that trust
Yeah,
and then you get more leeway. But there's also, like I was trying to get to the point where a lot of these socials change the way that you get rewarded. And,
yeah.
there's certain, and it's probably kind of been that way, but they've
Mhm.
kind of made it more of a thing, like
Mm.
of what you label, right? The words you choose to get
Yes, yes,
started,
yes,
kind of
yes.
what you're putting in your descriptions
Yep,
and your discussions, right? And
yep,
how often and
yep,
all of that. And what is your interaction during, right?
yep,
So,
yep.
so
All of
ideally,
that, like
yeah,
all of that.
there's so
Hmm.
much to it.
Hmm.
And unless you're really willing to understand that, and that's where it's nice to have an agency, you know,
Like walking you through it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
somebody who, hey, step by step, let's work on this area and this area,
Yeah, and
and
the fact you don't have to pay for it, like
yeah, that's why
that's
that
pretty
one
amazing.
platform is
Yeah.
because they're getting paid for it. Don't get me wrong, because they reward um, you know, their creators, right? Essentially, the your your following essentially
Mhm.
rewards you.
Yeah,
And
that's really
then,
interesting.
you know
That's
what I'm saying?
interesting.
So,
It's an interesting
but
model.
to use their platform, right? They're going to
Hmm.
take a portion.
Yeah, but that's expected, right? Kind of, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So to use their platform
Yeah.
they're going to take a portion,
Yeah.
and in that portion, to make sure you continue to receive more, right?
Hmm.
They receive more, they actually give you these free agencies.
Hmm.
And it is
Yeah.
beneficial for these agencies to become communities. That's
Yep.
what we come on each other's pages and help boost you up and stuff like that and
Yep.
interact.
Yep. I love
That's,
that.
yeah, I
I
love
love that.
that idea.
Yeah.
Let's help everyone
And it
get,
incentivizes them to actually really help you, not just like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if the better you do, the better they do. So it's kind of like, yeah, mutual benefit society business model,
Yeah,
which is really good.
that's
Those are
how
some
I
of the
would
most
like our
successful
business
usually.
to be done with
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
it benefits you to do your
Yes.
portion very
Yes.
well, right? And if
Yes.
I can help you do that better, let's do
Yes.
it.
Let's do
Or
it. Yeah.
you help me do it better. Either way, we're all going to be making money together, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah. That's a big one. And then like speaking of which, we talk about the connector thing. Um, you know, I don't know. Maybe you can tell me a little bit because you were doing it well before I was doing, like trying to connect people or had anything to do with that. In fact, I didn't even really get into it necessarily to connect people. I kind of got into it just to network and just get to know people and learn. It wasn't like my mind didn't go to, oh, I could make money by putting two and two together. You know what I mean? Like I just wasn't thinking that way especially when I first got started. But when did you start to actually really focus on the connector, or did you just do it from the beginning?
well, I kind of just did it naturally in life. I didn't
Hmm.
always get paid for those
Yeah.
connections,
Yeah. Yeah.
but those connections essentially got paid.
Hmm.
And like, I went through a lot of things, and I like the entrepreneur life, especially so I could focus on my health and my family,
Hmm.
you know. But like I said, I just naturally already connected people. So I'm like, how can I take care of myself and spend time with my family and friends and
Hmm.
still make money,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And um, along my journey, I've come across Pace Creative,
Hmm.
real estate. I like that. I'm creative. I've always been creative at either making money or getting something that I wanted,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
There's more than one way. And that creative, and what I heard him say on another Zoom,
Hmm.
and I was just like, this is the type of people I want to be around, because it sounds along the lines how I can provide for myself, how I can spend more time with
Yeah.
family and friends.
Yeah.
And also, they're going to make money too, because as long as I know that they're doing good business, I'm going to recommend them to anybody that I know.
Yeah, and I will say you have an uncanny ability to like have met someone maybe once or twice, and then you'll be in a conversation with someone like 6 months later talking about like a thing or a deal or a project. And you're like, oh, you know what? This guy that I met like 6 months ago, one time, uh,
Yeah.
you know,
One
like
time at
like
like
he's
what was it,
investing in
community
blah blah
camp or
blah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. So that also helps. But for those of us who don't have like the freaking what do they call that? The where you can identify, I forget, it was like why am I spacing on the
Patterns,
name?
pattern
No, there's
recognition.
there's a term that they use that people use for this, but essentially you can recall things really quickly from like, you just have a very visual memory and you can kind of pick things out from conversations that you had like a long time ago and apply it to something that you're doing right now, like that, maybe again you only had a conversation one time with this person and you just remember that they said, oh yeah, I'm looking to put 25K down on and I want 25% or better, or I want 20% or better and I have 30K to invest. Like you have multiple of those conversations, but for some reason you can remember that guy, right? And apply it to something we talk about today, which is good. That's really good. Anyway, so
That's why I tell you that I I love our CRM, but if I don't really like put them in there, you
yeah,
know, then you don't know what's going on, but I know what's going on because
yeah,
I'm talking to them,
yeah,
other ways. So, but
yeah.
I'm getting better at that.
It's a certain type of memory that you have. I forget what the
But
term is, but anyway, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Which is
I know.
cool. But for those of us who don't have that, obviously spreadsheets, putting stuff in a CRM, stuff like that, that'll help you like go reference or look stuff up. You're like, oh, I remember
I have
there's
a
got to be someone in
photographic
my
memory.
list there's got to be someone in my list that fits that criteria or whatever. Um, did you, so for you, it was just, you were just putting contacts in your phone and you didn't really, you just kind of remember talking to people, right? Is kind of how you go about it. Yeah. Yeah. I would say, for if you really want to be a connector, there's no right or wrong way. As long as you're building the relationships and you're facilitating, just helping people, that's the collateral. That's the real value. You
Well,
know what I
you do
mean?
have to do certain connecting things properly,
Yeah.
you know.
Like
You
what?
do want to make sure you're staying in legalities, right? If there's any
Mm,
money to be exchanged, right?
yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I
No,
just
that's
want to make
true.
that clear. When you turn it more into a business, right, and there's any type of transaction, then you
Yeah.
do have to make sure that you are doing it within laws.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's more to it than just introducing your friends sometimes. That
That's
can,
right. For
yeah.
sure.
So,
No, that's 100% right. In fact, I was watching I'm trying to recall the episode, but it was back in 2023. It was one of Pace's older, Get Creative episodes that he was doing. And he was talking to this. It wasn't even about connectors, really, but the story that he told, the story that came up in the episode, there was a lot of really good connector learning lessons, let's say, in there, right?
yeah.
And I'll talk about that here in a minute, but I think it's like we get, and you can speak to this maybe a little bit more, but like how you get paid for being a connector is a really interesting subject. It doesn't have to be, I think we overthink it. I know I overthink stuff a lot, but it doesn't have to be very complicated. You know what I mean? I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel like, and you said this before, but it's like if you're working with people that you trust, that you've actually built relationships with, like the getting paid part is not that big a deal. It's not that hard, right?
No, no, it's not. Once you work, find the right people,
Yeah.
they're literally,
Like they want to pay you.
yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, so
Yeah.
a couple relationships, one I met in the beginning, pretty much of
Mhm.
finding the real estate community, right?
Mhm.
Pieces. Um, and then another more recent, um, whatever, in relationship. I met them and we started talking and I'm like, oh, I do
Yeah.
know somebody who does the same thing. And
Mhm.
like, it's just automatic. I want to help people, right? I'm not automatically saying, but wait a minute, if I'm not going to get paid, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not really like that. It's more of how can we do this together and people all essentially walk away feeling like they've gotten something out of the deal, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then a lot of times it's things that I'm not really necessarily interested in, right? So I'm just gonna, hey, you guys should meet. Anything comes along, if I could help anywhere else, let me know.
Yeah.
And, I walk away from the conversation, but they're letting me know along the way, hey, we know you're still there,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And
And
that, and again, if you build enough relationships, if you're doing this on a regular basis, you're gonna and you're doing things with integrity, you're gonna find those people and they're gonna want to do business with, they're gonna want to keep doing business with you, especially like you even told me a story today about like someone you helped prevent from going into or investing in a bad deal. And now that person just like inherently trusts you, right? Because you did that and you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to be like, hey, by the way, don't invest in that deal. You could have just said nothing. You could have just said nothing and allowed him to, get into that deal, right?
yeah, I mean, yeah. So that was a buddy Jim
Yeah.
that what happened? Did you switch it?
No, 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 I'm
Oh,
spotlighting us because we got to guess. Yeah, our friend James just jumped in. What's up,
oh
James?
yeah. So yeah, a buddy like I didn't even know him and I'm not sure how he even got my information. I forget. I think from JJ's group, I don't remember, but he reached out to me, and he was asking if I knew these people that wanted
Hmm.
him to lend on a deal.
Hmm.
And I said, I don't believe so. Um, and then I'm like, do you want to give me the information and um, the numbers, and I'll see, what I come up with and
Hmm.
see, and I'm like, and I won't just take my word for it. I do have a trusted friend that I could ask, and
Hmm.
and so I did my comping and I looked at it. There there was many things wrong with this particular deal that I immediately seen, even not being like very seasoned. Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I comprehended, when to lend and when not,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So the it
I wish somebody did that for me. Like,
yeah. So I did my evaluation, and then I reached out to my trusted real estate friend who has been an investor and in real estate for longer than myself. And
yeah.
he was really pretty good about sharing information, and he seemed pretty accurate and stuff like that. Whenever I spoke to him, um, things lined up right with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I reached out to him and I let him know, and I said, "Look, my opinion would be to tell this guy no, walk away from here. But me not being seasoned, am I not seeing something here? Right? I don't want to be that person that says." Absolutely no. I want to give him solid information, and this
Yeah.
is what I see, and
Which
whatever.
is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
Like
big
I
deal.
wanted to be detailed
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
him, not just no,
Yeah.
don't. I wanted to break the numbers down and make sure that my numbers were about correct and the other things that I noticed
Hmm.
about it, and
Yeah.
this had nothing to necessarily do with the people themselves, right? I knew nothing about them.
No, but you knew
This
about it was the deal. You were
it
looking
was the
strictly at the
actual
deal.
deal,
Hmm.
yes, and
Hmm.
the numbers and the
Hmm.
neighborhood, everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was no bias against whoever this deal was already with.
Originally for,
It
yeah,
was,
for sure.
yeah.
No,
And
when
so
something's off. Like,
yeah. So for the most part, he understands that I would not purposely ever bring him something that I didn't trust, right? Like if I won't lend on it, I'm not gonna ask a friend to lend on it, or somebody else. I'm not like that. So yeah, you build trust by many different things, right? You know,
And what's beautiful about that too is like now you've got now this is one of many at this point, but now you've got someone who you know if we bring this person or you bring this person a vetted deal that you've looked at and you know it meets what they like, there's a very good chance one that they're going to do it. They might not. You never know what's going on in their life or what's going on in their business at that moment, but there's a very good chance that they will, and you will for certain get paid because they're going to want to compensate you. I feel like a connector is just like any other skill or service, like a plumber or an electrician or an IT person. Like you're providing a service, you really are, but it's deeper than that because the connector is someone like you, Pansy, who really does spend that time and actually genuinely wants to help people, wants to connect the dots and wants to help people, but builds the relationship
yeah,
first.
and I generally for lending,
Lending's
I'm
good. Yeah.
cautious about that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and for legal reasons too, right? But I do not like to recommend people if I don't really know them yet,
Yeah.
right?
And that's
Because
probably a good
yeah,
mode to operate under for
yeah.
sure.
So like I said, if I wouldn't personally lend on something or to
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
I'm not going to introduce you to another
Well,
person.
JJ talks about this a lot in his episodes, his show. He talks about it's like people will hit him up like, "Hey, I met you a week ago for the first time ever. lend me $150,000. Like, wait, who are you? And what, like, I don't even know you that well, you know? Let
Yeah.
alone like the deal. Forget the deal. I don't even know you. Like,
Yeah.
why, this is not the same thing as walking into Wells Fargo and asking for a mortgage. They don't care who you are. You
Yeah.
walk
I
into
mean,
Wells
they do,
Fargo
but
for a
they
mortgage.
don't. Like,
They
they
do, but they
don't
don't.
necessarily
Right.
want to be your friend unless, well, I
It's
mean,
not
the
about that.
manager might if you walk
Yeah.
in with enough money.
Yeah, right. Well, sure, but the point is they don't care who you are. They're going to underwrite you and they're going to decide if they
Yeah.
want to lend to you regardless.
Yeah.
Private money lenders and people like that, they want to know who you are a lot of times first. Sometimes, there's people who don't care. Just show me the deal and the numbers and I'll tell you if I want it or not. But ultimately starting with the relationship first is always going to be the right way to go in the beginning. I
I
don't know.
believe so. I
Yeah.
mean, I say it all the time, and I'm not like, I don't know what I'm not embarrassed. I have not purchased a property yet.
You
I
shouldn't
have
be
not
embarrassed. You shouldn't be
actually
embarrassed
done
about that.
a deal yet. Why?
I would, yeah. Don't be embarrassed about that.
But the reason is because I want, like I said, I'm building those relationships. I am in the middle of some things, but legally,
Mm-hmm.
I and ethically, I want to make sure it's done. I've
Yeah.
always been that way. I'll always be that way. I'm not in a rush to do business with somebody to find out 3 years down the road that they're the type of person that would totally
Yeah.
walk away with all my money and not feel bad about it
Yeah.
because it was a business decision. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I can read and I can understand certain things and I can understand certain situations. And I've built myself up from things. I've walked away from money. But
Mhm.
if somebody could do that, like, you know, and not feel anything about it,
Mhm.
you know, I don't know that I want to do business with those
No,
people.
that's called a sociopath, or
Yeah,
or like
yeah, I've
a
been around those people. I don't want
yeah,
to be, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, I want to work with people that really want to
Hmm.
build those relationships and hang out and,
Hmm.
you know, have other people to, we can all like have a good life,
Yes.
like
Yes, we can
helping each
all
other.
come up. Everybody gets a piece of it, and we can all
Yeah.
come up together. Yeah, there's a lot of people don't think that way. Like, I think we actually were talking about this. One of our mentors, and I'll leave his name out of it, Frank, because I don't want to like spout unless it's I don't know. Maybe you can tell me if it's public or not. It probably is at this point. But he talks about he's like, yeah, when I first got into this, I didn't give an S. I didn't give a crap like who I hurt or whatever. Like I was purely for
Well,
the
I don't
money.
know, that they necessarily said that, but it was similar,
It was
right?
similar to that, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
When
So,
a lot of people come in for, look, everybody's got their own journey. Some
mhm,
people come in it and start off and yeah, they're just about the money and they're not being very honest and you know, but ultimately that's their whatever they end up having to deal with is because of those actions, right?
yeah,
So
yep. It
it's
eventually comes back. It'll come back and bite you. It always does. Like one way or another, it's gonna come back and get you. That's my feeling anyway. When you deal with people in that way, and even this person, our mentor I was referring to, like he's changed his whole operation because of how he feels about how he was and how he operated,
yeah,
back in the day. And he wants to give back. He wants to make up for that sort of greediness and just, you know, uncaring sort of mode that he was in, right? Um, do you feel like I feel like network people who start as like I'm a connector and start in this game in this I don't want to say game, but in this business, they kind of get in this trap, right? It's like they start connecting people, they start building these relationships, and they like for example, they'll give a bunch of referrals out, they get nothing back, and they're sitting there watching these people everybody make money, and they start to build up resentment, right? And then they quit. I've seen that happen many times. right, with people. And it's like it doesn't need to be that way, right? But also you should kind of go in knowing like, look, you're getting to know people, you're learning who these people are that you're meeting. And if they deal with you in that way, then maybe don't do business with them and move on, right? You're going to eventually meet the people that are your crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, yeah, but you can't. Okay, so since you put in the initial thing about the real estate game, right?
Yeah.
The gaming.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
can't hate
Can't
what
hate
is
the
it?
game.
Don't hate the player, hate the
Hate the game.
game,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
but it's not if you have to look at all of those things. And we were just talking about a lot of this on Chris and James and Angel's Zoom the other
Hmm.
day,
Hmm.
about the things that you went through. Yeah, you could be pissed off about it and hate it, but ultimately, we all had to go through some of that to be where we're at right now, to
Yep.
understand ourselves better, to be better partners, right?
Yep. Yep.
To the people we're working with and to each other, right? To
Yeah.
the relationships we want to have in general, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like to use the word connector because to me it's just um I don't know. It minimizes, like I feel like in many ways throughout life I've been kind of like a real estate, or not real estate, relationship matchmaker for many friendships,
Hmm.
um uh, physical, romantic. I've gotten
Hmm.
romantic people to go together,
Hmm.
like not intentionally, but it's happened,
Right.
just by bringing people together, right, in the same area, to introducing people. This is my friend, right? Whatever,
Hmm.
So so I think I should just name myself as kind of a relationship specialist, because I
I like
don't
that.
just try to match people just because they can make a dollar together. I realize just because Jim and Jerry over here are doing the exact same type of thing and could use each other's services, they have two totally different um, personalities, right?
Personalities, philosophies. Yeah. Yeah. They
And
may they
they
may not
would
mix
not
well.
probably make good partners. I could
Yeah.
still introduce them, yeah, but not on the premise that, hey, I think you guys would somehow be able to
Mm.
work well together. I could just mention, hey, yeah, then that's when I'm like, yeah, such and such does it,
That's
but
a
I
really
can,
good point. Yeah.
like, I'm not going to push that, right?
Yeah.
I can mention that they do the same similar things, but whether
Yeah.
they decide to actually want to connect, that's on them at that point, because I only really try to bring people together that I really feel would be able to work well together.
Yeah. See, this is why I feel like just telling people like, hey, just be a giver and it'll all come back to you. Like there's some truth in that, but I feel like that's like incomplete advice, right? It's not complete. And like what you're talking about is like, look, I want to connect people, I want to give, but I want to make sure they're the right people for each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Also, like, yeah, cool. I know if I connect A to B, there's dollars to be made here, but there's also this world where if I connect A to B, they're gonna freaking hate each other and not work well together, and then they're
Not
gonna look
necessarily hate each other.
not
Let's
hate each
not
other,
throw
but
that
let's
word out there.
let's
But
let's just say not work well together.
right.
And I don't want that coming back in any way, and I don't want them to go through that either, right? Like
Yeah.
just
Like I said,
understanding their personality.
I don't necessarily say I won't introduce you. I'll just be like, look, I kind of make a short mention. I don't try to get in the middle of that. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I don't, so
But there is like there's something like there is a dopamine hit that you get when you just like in anything where you make something happen like that and it clicks, right? And it
yeah.
actually works out. And you want more of it, right? And
Yeah,
so
I love to see when people like come together for many reasons,
yeah, yeah,
and it, for whatever reason, is,
yeah.
if it puts a smile on their face, then it puts a smile on my face too, you know?
Who would you say like who would you say are the type of people I don't know if we can put them into categories, but maybe we can. The type of people who will actually pay for introductions, right? When let me just answer that before you answer it. I feel like there's a couple different types of people that'll do that. And I know one of them because I've been a part of this. It's people who just like hate selling and just want the stuff brought to them, right? Those are the people that'll pay,
That's probably one of them. Yeah.
right?
I mean, there's many reasons I would think, especially in the business world, right?
Hmm.
Because even myself, knowing quite a few people, quite a few different types of groups,
Hmm.
I don't know everybody,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And I can't always find that needle in a haystack.
right.
Sometimes people are literally asking for a needle in a haystack. And
Yeah,
sometimes I do have it, but a lot of times I don't. And
yeah,
that's where, then you need more people like myself that are talking to other people. People like you, people like James here in the
yeah,
Zoom, like this is my business is built on relationships, on keeping those relationships
yeah. For the
and
long term.
helping, yeah,
Yeah.
and others. I think that we should all look at it that way, not just about the money aspect, but about the life aspect.
Hmm.
Really, you know, and this has been bothering me more and more, about the electronics and the AI and the lack
Yeah.
of, human
Yeah.
interaction thing.
Which is legitimate. I'm not gonna dog you on that. That's legitimate
It's always been
for
a problem
sure.
with me. I've
Yeah.
never been
No, that's
really like,
legitimate.
you know, but I
Yeah.
do see the other side, and obviously of the different things. But ultimately, we all should be, and I do say should when I really try not to push should on people.
Mm.
But honestly, we are built to be social
Oh, 100%. Yep.
and to interact. The
Yep.
reason people now, like I say many times, there is always an equal opposition
Yep.
to many things, right? To pretty much everything. Human interaction is what helps us be, be more healthier, and it could also help us be more unhealthier. So you have to choose who you are around and what you are around for your
Yes.
best health, right? Like
Yes.
what you choose to have around you is going to totally affect you physically and mentally. So,
Yes. Yeah, and I'm that's big for me. Like I told you a few days ago, like I'm something I've learned about myself is that I am very susceptible to my emotions being um what's a good word for this? My emotions getting toyed with, I guess you can say, or being flared up, being around the right kind of people. Like in just in my general environment. In my environment, I'm very in tune with the emotional state of things in my environment, and that's been true since I was, a little kid. And so I take my space and who I'm around very, very seriously. And sometimes you can't, there's nothing you can do. Like, look, you're going to be in an environment and in an emotional environment that you have no control over, right? And that's true in business too. You might find yourself in a room, you're trying to get a certain type of deal done, and you might find yourself in a room, and the seller or the owner or whoever on the other side of that table is someone that you would not normally be around in normal circumstances. But you still have to figure out how to make it work and get the deal done, right? Yeah.
yeah,
James
you
is
have
saying we
to.
talked about this. 100% we talked about this. So, yeah, you're in your connector journey in building relationships. Take that very seriously. Pay close attention. That's why you get to know people, right? You spend the time to get to know people first and build the relationship because you don't want to get broadsided with with that later on, right? So,
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally, but again,
yeah,
sometimes that's part of our journey that we need to go through, right? For whatever reason.
yeah,
Again, don't hate the uh
yeah.
game or whatever,
Don't
hate the
hate the player,
player
hate the game.
or
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying though, we can't get so worked up about all of the difficulties or
Yeah,
this, because we're ultimately learning how to be better ourselves when when we go through that, when we endure certain things. I mean, I don't always handle every situation the best, but
well, no one does. Like, look, yeah, you're not going to be freaking 100% all the
like,
time, right?
first of all, the closer I am to like emotionally, right?
Hmm.
The more emotionally I'm invested into somebody,
Hmm.
I'm easily like I don't know what to say, you know, and I'll go into fight and flight, and
Hmm.
I'll just leave me alone
Yeah.
because I can't do this right now, right?
Yep. Yep.
But other people, I don't care sometimes, just,
That makes
depending on
sense.
where you put me
That
in
makes
a
sense.
position. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, yeah,
I mean, that makes total sense. Like, yeah, of course, the more emotionally invested you are in someone, you're gonna think of, depending on the circumstances, you're gonna take
I take
different
it more to
steps.
heart, I guess,
Yeah,
when
you take it
we
more to heart
have
for
any
sure.
kind of conflict
Yeah.
or disagreement. And I certainly don't ever want to hurt anyone
Hmm.
intentionally,
Hmm.
you know.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
so
let me ask you this. Let's get to where the rubber meets the road. How do you actually charge people? How do you actually make money and charge people? And like what do you charge people, right? For connecting. I've heard so many different modes of thought around this. So I've heard of finder's fees, and they can like finder's fees can range from, I mean, I've heard anywhere from 5% all the way up to like 30%, right? 35%. Depending on obviously the deal value, the size, how much you're involved, right? It plays a role. But like,
well, it's going to depend on what it is
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
not just like doing one certain kind of connecting aspect in the
Hmm.
business.
Hmm.
It's many different kinds of yeah, connecting the people and businesses together. So it's
Hmm.
really kind of um based on each individual deal,
Yeah, yep,
whether or not I get paid or not. If it's not legal for me to get paid, I don't get paid.
yeah.
Like they might be able to take me out to dinner or something, which is very, you know, uh, like I'll take dinner. You know me, I can eat.
But hey, you know what? That's actually look, that's actually there's equity in that. You know what I mean? Because now that person, hey, you know what? You're a legit person. You did this. You didn't get paid. You didn't have to do what you did. I now, just like the other person we talked about, they inherently now trust you. You've had that. Now you've got a relationship with that person where you've got that connection. Something's going to come up again, right? It's
Well, yeah,
just a matter
this
of
builds
time.
more opportunities
Yeah.
because while I can't maybe get paid over here,
Mhm.
they are still a lot of times in some type of real estate.
Yeah.
And I'm a buyer, right? We're
Yeah.
buyers,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Um, so there's many ways that just
Mm.
because you can't get paid on this particular situation doesn't mean there's not opportunities, like you said, now to work with them in other ways because you've built that trust.
Yeah. For sure. And you know what? Don't be afraid after a certain point. I think some connectors are a little bit shy maybe or a little bit worried about broaching the subject like, hey, how am I going to get paid in this? If you don't know, ask. Like nobody's going to fault you for just and the way you approach it. I actually learned this from a partner of mine, but um you know, be curious, right? I love and this is something I did fairly recently, but it's like, you know what? Hey, first start with appreciation. Hey, look, I appreciate you, and I know we did this deal, but or we just did this deal, or I just introduced you to XYZ, whatever it is. I appreciate you, but I just have a quick question. I'm curious. How would someone like myself get paid in a transaction like this from you in facilitate? Just ask. It's not, you know what I mean? What's the worst thing they're going to tell you? Yeah, you're not going to get paid. Yeah, we're not paying you. Right? Okay,
Yeah. Well,
cool. Now I know.
ultimately, yeah, that's part of building the relationship and
Yeah.
understanding,
Yeah.
you know, kind of where you could work together.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not directly with them. Maybe
Yeah.
it's, because you did work with them and you mentioned something along the way.
Mhm.
Now they have now connected you with somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, um, yeah, I mean, it could take years before something
And
happens,
you know what?
right?
People don't like hearing that. I know people don't like hearing that, but that's just like anything else. There's no like
Ben's driving
easy
home
mode.
now.
There's no easy mode, right? So, and if you're looking for the easy mode, the easy button, that this is probably not your, don't go down this road then, right? Because I would say there's things about it that can be easy and you know all of that, but it takes time to build, you know, they call it your black book of business, but it takes time to build all those relationships, right? So the other thing is like consulting fees. So, like think about it like you're a consultant too, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and
Service
yeah,
referral fees like 5 to 15% commission is not unheard of, right? That's pretty normal actually.
yeah,
So,
yeah. No, like I said, it's all depends on the actual situation
mhm.
and what's happening, if
Yeah.
and before is there a possible way to get paid here? Of course, because we want to do it legally, right?
Yeah, so
And
that's a
there
big
are
one.
certain stipulations when working with certain types of businesses that you cannot get paid.
Yeah.
As much
I
as they want to pay you, they would legally be doing something wrong.
yeah.
And we don't want that to happen, right?
Yeah.
We want our friends to be good. We
Yeah.
want to stay within the laws.
Yeah, like
Do,
a good
you know,
example. Well, I was gonna say a good example of that is like you referring someone, like let's say you, Pansy, refer someone to buy like a large security, let's say, to invest in a large security, something like that. Get a lawyer first before you do that. You know what I mean? Because there is like and then you getting paid on the back end from referring someone to that kind of a product usually got to be a financial advisor, a broker, or someone like that, to legally be able to get paid for some of these things. So you do got to be careful about that. But ask, you know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. Ask and do a little bit of research and protect yourself
yeah, don't be,
before you do
yeah,
it.
I think we get afraid to admit when we don't understand things, and
Yeah.
it's understandable, so, but
Yeah.
without asking those questions and being vulnerable. I mean, this is how I built my relationships with almost anyone is being curious.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I did know the answer, I would still be curious. Okay.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know,
really good point.
like, and listen to what they had to say,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, and that will get you a long way listening to someone and then coming and asking the question in a way. And please, I hear people saying this. Don't freaking ask somebody if you could pick their freaking brain. Please don't do that. I don't think I've ever asked that question. I think it's a horrible question. If somebody asks me that, I'm probably ignoring them and I'm not trying to be a jerk,
Why do you say that? That's interesting. Why do you say that?
because it's so like impersonal and like, I don't know. It's just,
Interesting.
come up with something better. Like me, I'm like okay, for example, today I reached out to a couple investors, right, that
Uh-huh.
are pretty known and do quite a bit of business. And I want to sound intelligent when I'm reaching out to these people because they really are intelligent people. I don't want to waste
Mhm.
their time,
Mhm.
you know. So I'm like, hi, I'm looking at a property in this city and state. I was wondering what your thoughts were for holds there, um, and if you had any there, if you're in, they, they were really nice about responding back to me saying, yeah, I actually like that area for rental, but I wouldn't flip there, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I appreciate, and I made sure that I then thanked them for taking the time
Yeah.
to respond to me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like,
That's a I like that though. That's a good point. Like put some thought into it. Don't just reach out and say, "Hey, can I pick your brain?" Like put some thought into the question and like get to the point too, right? Because just like CEOs and people, like they like it when you're direct and you get to the point. They don't have time to spend reading two paragraphs of a question, like so do try and be a little bit direct and to the point also, right? But show that you put a little bit of and also the fact that it's not a hypothetical question also really helps. I think we've talked about this before. Like don't fire off a bunch of hypotheticals to people, because that's one of the first things that I learned early on. It was like, I asked something like that. I forget where I was or what I was doing, but I had asked a question like that, and the very first thing, like the response I got was, is this a real thing that's happening right now, or is this just a hypothetical question? Because if it's a hypothetical question, I'm not going to spend any time answering it.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
if I answer it, it's not going to register.
yeah,
You're not going to get it, right? It's one thing if you're actually going through it, because then all of a sudden it's real and it sinks in, right? Pace talks about that a lot too, but that's a real thing too, by the way. Um,
yeah. I never really liked the hypothetical thing or the trying to, like, I guess, act out something,
yeah,
in precaution.
yeah.
I'm like, I think I understand what I
Mhm.
have to do,
Yeah,
you know, on
yeah,
certain things, right?
yeah,
But I just like, do you really need to see, like with tornado drills in school and stuff, do you really need to see that I know how to jump, duck over here? And I get
yeah,
it. That's what I got to do if the sirens go off. And
yeah,
so far, it's only been, a drill. I
yeah.
appreciate it, but I could do without it.
Man. Well, I would say to summarize, like obviously start with the relationships first, build that, work on that, and really work on building actual real relationships. One thing that you do really well that I still need to get better at is you'll just like reach out to people and say, "Hey, you know what? I just want to see how you're doing." Like, no, this isn't
I
about a
do.
deal. It isn't about a deal. It isn't about doing business. I just wanted to reach out and see how you're doing. I haven't talked to you for a while. People really, really like that. And that goes a long way because you stick out tremendously when you do stuff like that. Because it's not the norm, right? The norm is a bunch of people hitting you up like, do you have a deal? Let's do this deal, money, money, right? Which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but you stand out from that crowd, right? Oh, this person is actually just hitting me up, and then there's always people that are gonna be like, oh yeah, you're asking me how I'm doing. What do you want? Right? There's gonna be those people, but most people will be like, hey, wow, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking, right? Or whatever. But I would put some thought into that too. Like, hey, I know your birthday's coming up. I just wanted to reach out and see how you're doing and wish you an early birthday, happy birthday. Like that, that goes a long way. You know what I
I'm
mean?
amazed that you brought that up because you don't really seem to make a big deal about birthdays.
No, but I don't. But if somebody does that, like I may not make a big deal about my birthday, but if somebody does that and reaches out to me, that goes a long way. You know what I mean? It shows that they put some thought into it, you know?
I'm just saying that you would suggest it since you
Oh,
don't,
I see what you
you
mean.
don't usually do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, look, me personally, my birthday is just like whatever to me.
Well,
Um,
it shouldn't be whatever.
mm,
It shouldn't. It
I don't
shouldn't be
know.
whatever.
I don't know. I don't, it's a day and, cool. Awesome. Thank you everybody for being my family and friends. I appreciate you all, but I just like whatever. And but again, like if somebody like on Facebook, for example, was to reach out to me and say, "Hey, happy birthday. How you doing, by the way?" Like it just, they
I
are
know it.
actually they actually maybe give a crap and they're reaching out to see them, and it's not just purely about business, right? It kind of goes a long way. By the way, and so first is the relationship, put some thought behind it, spend the time to build the relationships, be curious, ask questions, and put some thought behind your questions. Don't ask hypotheticals. And then the very last thing I'm going to say is just have the guts to be like, look, I work for a referral fee most of the time, right? At a certain point, it's like, look, I have the connections that you need. These are people that I built, spent a long time building relationships with. I'd love to connect you, but let me get to know you a little bit and first, and let's see what you really need. And then, by the way, I work for a referral fee, right? Have the guts to kind of say that. And how one of the things we talked about before, it's been a little while, but like, how do you not get burned, right? How do you not get burned and have someone go, yeah, there's something called a non-circumvent agreement, and we
Yeah,
could get into that
well,
later.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
just yeah.
right.
Yeah. I
Which some might argue doesn't really
this
hold
is
water
you
either,
want to
but
know how you don't get burned?
hmm,
You work with people that you trust. And if
yeah,
they end up burning you, then they weren't your people and you move on. Are you really losing anything except for your time at that point unless you actually put something into it, right? If you put
mm,
your money into it, which you don't if somebody's paying you for a service, right? There you're not technically out of the money. You're out of your time, and now you know you won't waste your time with those people anymore. You can't take everything so personal.
yeah,
Businesses go through this all the time,
mm,
right? Like that's why I do not emphasize the money. I
yep,
emphasize the relationship first. Because if I can't trust you that you don't want to pay me when you already said you want to pay me, right? You already agreed to it and now you don't, then okay, we don't have to do business together.
yeah. I
It
told you
doesn't
earlier
necessarily make
today.
you a bad person either.
Yeah, yeah,
Just maybe you didn't hold up your end of the agreement and then I don't want to do business with people like that.
yeah. I've heard Paige say before, like, thank them for showing you early who they are and how they do business, so that you don't waste any more time or any more money. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's like, Pace is like, I've literally thanked people for saving me the time and the money, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
By behaving that way. So anyway, I think that's a pretty good. We're at the end now, but I think that's a pretty good segue to kind of end it. But is there anything else you want to let people know? I think it's just literally what we talked about, and it doesn't have to be rocket science, and just keep doing it and build your list of people and relationships, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to ask for a referral fee, like for crying out
Yeah.
loud. And by the way, your time is your most valuable asset, right? Your time. And any really successful person will agree with that, because that's what you have. Once you've made all the money, what do you have? You have time, right? So anyway, think of it that way, especially when dealing with successful people and people you want to be connecting with, people you want to be building relationships. That's the most important commodity, or not commodity, important asset. So if you approach it that way, I think everybody who does this will do well. So yeah, but I appreciate you, Pansy, and
I
thank
appreciate
you,
you.
and thank everybody. Thank you guys all who are here with us. Kathleen, James, so
Hang out after. We can
Rosalie, yeah.
talk a
Thank
little
you.
bit.
Huh?
I said we can hang out afterwards and
Yeah,
talk.
absolutely. And for those who actually jumped in the Zoom, we do hang out afterwards. So this isn't just like, I'm not just gonna just shut it down right after
Thanks,
we end the Zoom
James.
chat.
Are you hopping off to go hang out with the wifey? You can unmute. Oh, wait. Are we still live? Wait,
Yeah, we're
wait.
still live.
He's
That's all right. Yeah, I'm gonna go
hold
ahead and
on.
end it, but as per usual, thank you guys all for being here. We're gonna end it. We'll be back next Friday. I've got about 3 episodes to put up, the edited versions to put up, so those will be dropping pretty soon. And again, appreciate all you. Come back again. We'll see you soon.